Rajampeta. Dr. P. Subramaniam, Convener and Head of Department of Management Studies, AITS. Sri C. Gangireddy Garu, Secretary of Annamacharya Educational Trust. Mr. C. Abhishek Reddy, Executive Director of the Trust. Resource persons, Dr. S. Venkatramanaya from IIM Lucknow. Professor Venugopal Rao from Sri Krishna Deva Raya University at Anantapur. Professor R. Shivaram Prasad, Dean Faculty of Management, Acharya Nagarjuna University, Guntur. Professor Sri Viswanath Reddy, Rector of Rayalaseema University at Kurnool. Delegates, invitees, and media personnel. At the outset, let me thank the principal, the convener, and the management of Annamaya Institute of Technology and Sciences at Rajampet for giving me this opportunity of giving the inaugural address on the occasion of the webinar on new challenges and opportunities in management education, COVID-19 pandemic scenario. Now I present my address on the basis of three aspects or three opinions. That is, necessity is the mother of all innovations and new ideas. Number two, the opinion of Peter Drucker, the father of modern management. To quote, to survive and succeed, every business will need to transform itself into a change agent. This is a very relevant opinion of Peter Drucker in this context. And number three is one of the opinions that motivation has an important impact in decision making by the managers whenever there are any challenges and crises. So these three aspects are the basis for my present today's address. And first of all, I would like to establish how these three aspects are related to solving any economic situation, including the present situation. For this purpose, I have chosen the economic history in the globe. So the economic history shows in 1930s, the entire world was facing recession, depression, wherein the economy of all sectors of the society has gone down and many business units have incurred losses, leading to unemployment problem and loss of income, etc., etc., etc. So the situation was very horrible. So to overcome this situation, some kind of initiative is required. So at this junction, mainly I would like to establish how motivation has made the people to convert the recession into economic success. So recently, I happened to hear the lecture of one of the popular management consultant as well as motivating personnel by name Shiv Khera. He delivered this lecture in Nigeria very recently on the topic, turn the setbacks into turnbacks. This popular talk was organized by the Indian community in Nigeria in association with Rotary International members. Since I happen to be a member of Rotary Club Tirupati, which is part of Rotary International, I got the opportunity of listening to him, which is completely motivating aspect. So here, the question I am talking is how the economy got revived from the miserable situation in 1930 to prosperity in the subsequent years over a period of 90 years from 1930 onwards. So in my view, it was made possible to achieve through the active and positive attitude of men with vibrant business leadership. So some people call this in a simple way, proactive way of doing things. Yes, this proactive way of doing things. So to do the things in a proactive way or the managers to attend to the crisis, proactive nature is very essential. Unless people become proactive, positive results cannot be achieved. For example, after 1930, if the business establishments, if the government and the business managers have remained as silent, passive spectators, we can't do anything. What can we do now? If that was the temperament at that from after 1930, economic prosperity and economic development might not have been revived. But it happened the other way, namely, the leaders in business, they have taken proactive decisions and with all commitment, hard work, etc., they have transformed the stage of miserability into prosperity over 90 years. That is how the motivational aspect comes into the role whenever there is a crisis situation like what we are facing today. Similarly, change. It is inevitable. Change takes place because of external environment factors. Change may take place because of internal environment factors. Change may take place because of technology developments. Change may take place because the consumer psychology has differed from the earlier lifestyles. Like that, so many aspects brings change. It may be internal factor, it may be external factor, but business units to survive, to overcome that change, always they should be ready to face the challenges of changes, which is called as management of changes. At one time in JNTU, there was a separate paper on change management. All it says is that change is inevitable, change is a continuous thing, the change may be good or the change may be bad. For the change towards bad, we have to be ready to face it and overcome that bad effect. So whatever it is, ultimately the proactive temperament is very, very essential, and the able leadership is also very, very essential. The another aspect on which I have based my present address is under what circumstances innovations and new ideas emerge. The statement I have given earlier at the beginning of my address is all the necessity is the mother of innovations and new ideas. This is the statement I have given. I am repeating again. Necessity is the mother of inventions and new emergence of new ideas. How it is relevant, again in the context of economic development? The answer is, so many scientific inventions has taken place in that 90 years period after 1930 in both science, technology, as well as conceptualization of various new theories in management, which all have added to the existing knowledge and ultimately enriching the present day generations in science, technology, and management principles. Again, there is an important role the entrepreneur plays in the economy. We should not blame the businessman, thinking and seeing only about his profit side. But we have to think about how he is prepared to face the risk also. For example, let us see the virus invention now. To invent that virus for COVID-19, the businessman has to incur crores of rupees as investment. If the result is successful, no doubt he makes a lot of money. But if his invention fails, he has to lose whatever he has invested. So this is inevitable in business. So always risk element is involved in business. The managers have to face that risk. The owners have to face the risk. And they should see that they overcome the challenges. So at this juncture, business acumenship means the ability to go in a pushing manner into any activity. That is what we mean by business acumen. That is very, very essential. That has also played a very crucial role in turning or achieving economic prosperity over 90 years by overcoming the miserable 1930s economic situation. So these three statements, please remember, apply even to the present day crisis situation, for which the managements must be ready to adopt those three principles. Okay. Now coming back to our present webinar topic, namely new challenges and opportunities to management, COVID-19 pandemic scenario. As our principal has already explained in his welcome address, the situation is very peculiar in the sense prevalence of viruses entering into the mankind system and creating a panic is not a new thing. Even earlier also, on several occasions, either polio problem, malaria problem, so many other viruses, they have also come into the picture and into the mankind's creating panic. But it never interfered into the economic system. But this time, the influence of this COVID-19 panic among the mankind, for some reason or other, is very damaging, which is very, very unfortunate. In this sense, in some quarters, there is a feeling that somebody with some motives have introduced and sent it into the humanity. Some people say that just to create a panic, they are unnecessarily talking too much about this COVID-19, etc., etc. But let us not bother about all those things. Whatever it is, it has come, it is existing in our lives, and it has created panic, and that panic is continuing, and the responsibility has fallen on the governments to contain this. In each country, each government has taken different measures basing upon their socio-economic situations and geographical situations and density of population. But in our country, the government of India, in order with the good intention of containing the spread of this disease among Indian population, which is densely populated, they have taken a decision to impose lockdown for nearly 2 months period. 2 months period, full lockdown is not a small duration. I am not going into whether the decision of Modi is right or wrong, that is irrelevant for us now. Problem has come, how to solve it, that is our scope of the seminar. Okay. The peculiarity, as I already have told, unfortunately, is a virus influencing the economy of a country or countries throughout the globe, and almost the economy of all countries has been ruined. The extent of damage in economy may be varying from country to country, but definitely there is a downward trend in economy of almost all the countries, whether it is a developing country like India or developed countries like America, Japan, France, etc. Okay. Now, what has happened to the economy because of this lockdown? The answer is, when suddenly lockdown has been imposed, the movement of workers, the movement of government employees, the movement of private sector employees, the movement of daily wage earners, the movement of almost all people has been denied and curtailed. No doubt for a good motive. Similarly, the movement of goods on the roads came to a standstill. They were not allowed to move on the roads. All the drivers with their vehicles were asked to stand wherever they are. So this made particularly daily wage earners and the migrant labor, on whose services migrant laborers, particularly migrant skilled laborers, are playing an important role in our Indian economy. So all these people, their jobs, their incomes were affected. In the absence of income, they were unable to pay the rents to the houses where they were staying. So the owner of the houses asked them to vacate, and nobody was there to take care of their provisions, etc., because they don't have white ration cards. All these problems have come into light during that period. So ultimately the point is, they have suffered a lot in the absence of transport facility, particularly for the passengers. Even if they want to go on lorries, they were not allowed. Barriers were installed between the state borders, etc., etc. So all this has ultimately brought so many problems into the society, ultimately leading to fall in employment opportunity, fall in income of the common man. Like that, loss of income due to loss of jobs, non-availability of goods, non-availability of services, non-availability of customers to the services, etc., are responsible for the present day slowdown in economy and loss of revenue both to the government of India as well as to the government of states, which are supposed to launch welfare schemes and come to the rescue of all these sufferers. Okay. What about the business units? What about the managements who have to run the show of managing these business units? After 2 months lockdown period, processing units have started their processing. Service units have started opening their services aspects, etc. But the problem is, since supply chain management has broken, I'm repeating again, since supply chain has broken, adequate components are not available in the manufacturing side. Adequate raw materials are not available at the manufacturing sites, etc., etc. Coming to the human side, even today, majority of the migrant skilled workers have not turned up into their respective work spots. Without them, the processing units and the service units are not able to provide the full services. Examples, even in our mining activity, migrant skilled labor was doing it. Local people were not that skilled. Even if they know the work, the question is, cost of the local people wages is far higher than cost of the migrant labor. So businessman psychology is, his psychology is to save the cost. Wherever he is capable of getting labor at a cheap rate, he looks for them. So migrant labor, they are looking, they are not available. So on this occasion, I want to cite two examples. One industry which is not affected, one industry which most affected as examples. The only industry which is not affected during this lockdown period and pandemic period is pharma industries. Government of India gave permission to pharma industries to open there and produce as many medicines as possible. And no closure of retail pharmacy outlets. So the retail traders in pharmacy, manufacturers in pharmacy, they have no problem. That is the only industry which has not faced the problem. Another extreme is hospitality and tourism management. Even today, after lifting the lockdown, still the hospitality and tourism industry is not able to turn over 15% of their business. The occupancy rate in general after lockdown on an average in India is about 15% only. With that 15% occupancy, they cannot get revenue which can meet their fixed cost expenses of maintenance. In addition to this, the additional problem for them is repayment of loans to banks. Their revenue with 15% operation capacity is not at all sufficient to repay the loan installments as per schedule. But the strange thing again in case of hospitality and tourism industry is, even if the management wants to overcome this problem, the answer is they cannot. Because even today, the lockdowns are lockdowns are introduced at different places, basing upon the local problems. State borders, they are sealed even today. People from Andhra are not allowed to go to Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu people are not allowed into Andhra. Similarly, in Karnataka border also, same thing is happening. So borders are still sealed, and very often lockdowns are being imposed in local areas. All these things are coming in the way of this hospitality and tourism business. Another culture that has spread among the business people is the officers at different levels of various leading organizations. They are asking all their employees, the top level managers, to remain in the offices and in their houses and do the work. They are not permitting their officers to go out because of fear of the infection of COVID. This is also leading to inoccupancy in hotels in almost all towns. Foreign tourists are not coming to India. So all these are problems of hospitalities and tourism industries, which is peculiar. So I will now summarize in a general way, because sector-wise, if we take up, it may lead to so much of time, so I don't want to do it. In my view, the present challenges in general to the managements are like this. I observe that changes are taking place in consumption pattern at different levels of income strata, and the psychology of spending money only on essential items, postponing the purchase of non-essential items, has entered into the minds of many people of different income strategies. This is going to change in the consumption of different items of non-routine day life consumption, as well as luxury living items, etc. etc. So the likely changes in demand are going to take place in consumption, which is going to affect the retail trade as well as manufacturing side, which has to be very carefully observed and appropriate steps taken by the management. The second one is, in order to make available either the raw materials or all components required for manufacturing activity, have to be immediately arranged by improving the supply chain management and restoring it to normal situation. My third observation is, workers have to be motivated to come back to work A trust has to be created in the psychology of the employees over the managements or their employees. Particularly, since the migrant labor has faced a lot of problems, some of them are not mentally prepared to come out. Some of them are still not confident, are not sure that COVID has gone away and their health can be maintained. That confidence has not come into their minds still. Their families at the local level are persuading them not to go for the work. So they have to be persuaded. This persuasion takes place, comes into reality only when the managements take proper care for this. I will give an example for this. Recently, in the infrastructure industry, the contractor has mobilized this migrant labor. He has mobilized this migrant labor from Calcutta to AP at his cost of spending more than ₹1 lakh on each bus. He brought 2 busload of workers, following that rule of maintaining distance, sanitization, etc., etc. Why he did it? What is the motivating factor for him? It seems that that contractor, who is an infrastructure contractor, is eligible for a bonus from the government if he completes his highway project within the stipulated time. So he has taken this initiative by directly sending his men to Calcutta, persuading them, giving them all promises of wages, security, hospital expenses, and so many other things. Such things have to be done according to their capacities by various business units according to their own financial strength. Number 4, the additional burden that is falling on the management side, where the employee force is more, government has imposed certain restrictions. That is, distance has to be maintained between the employees' seats, sanitization has to be done, masks have to be provided, etc., etc. The managements are already feeling this is an additional burden on them, but it does not matter, because if they want to do, they have to follow the government rules. This is going to be an additional burden. Another specific situation is some of the organizations are forced to maintain their scale of operations at a non-economic scale of operation level. Example, cement. Cement is essential for house construction and government projects also. But the demand from their side is not that much as the demand from the consumer side or the resident side or common man side. So as on today, the demand for cement has not yet picked up, but it seems the government is forcing them to start production. Their representation seems that if they have to operate they have to start their operations, they have to do it at uneconomic scale of operation, because if they want to go to the optimal level, too much of stockpiling will be there, which is a problem for them. They don't want to take that risk. So in cement industry, it seems they are maintaining their operations at an uneconomic scale of operation, which is adding to cost. That's why it seems recently the cement price has been increased, throwing a burden on the consumer. Like that, there may be some other business units also where government interferes and says that you have to carry on production even at low level of scale of operations. Last one is, but more important one is financial problem. It seems all the MSME units are facing financial problem, meeting their working capital expenses as well as loan repayments. So they are all looking to the government to declare a moratorium on their loan repayment, etc., asking the government to give instructions to the banks, etc. The same rule, even the hospitality industry is also expected. So wherever the government feels there is really need, they must come forward with some liberal financing policies by persuading the bankers to give loans to overcome this problem. Otherwise, it leads to sickness in industry, closure of industry, which means lakhs of people will be thrown out of jobs, which means adding to unemployment and loss of income, both personal level loss of income as well as loss to the revenue to government exchequers also. So the governments have to come forward with liberal policies with regard to financial support. To conclude, the government has to come forward with new liberal policies and extends financial support to overcome the financial crunches of MSMEs and the hospitality and tourism business at macro level, and to help wherever there is a genuine need for other industries also. I hope the technical sessions will discuss some of the above issues I have mentioned in depth in their respective sections, sector-wise, and come out with workable suggestions. I wish all success in achieving the objectives of the webinar, and thank you all, and thank the Annamacharya Institute of Technology and Sciences for giving me this opportunity and for your patient hearing of my inaugural address. Thank you.
Thank you, Murli sir.
Thank you, Subramaniam.
Next item of the webinar is keynote address by Dr. S. Venkatramana sir, IIM Lucknow. Before going to delivery, welcome to Professor R. Sivaram Prasad sir, Dean Acharya Nagarjuna University. Welcome, sir. Sir, Professor Sivaram Prasad sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So now I request Partha Sarathy sir, please read the profile of Dr. S. Venkatramana sir.
Good morning to all. I take this opportunity to introduce Dr. S. Venkatramana sir from IIM Lucknow. Dr. S. Venkatramana sir is an associate professor in operations management at IIM Lucknow since May 2013. He has around 28 years of teaching and research experience. He was a postdoctoral research fellowship at Singapore MIT Alliance program, Nanyang Business School Singapore, worked at Honeywell Singapore as SEM Leader Engineer. He was the Best Teacher Award winner, Fulbright Scholar at WP Care School of Business, Arizona State of University, USA during fall 2019. Undergone training on global participant-centered learning at Harvard Business School, USA during 2009 and 10. He worked at IIT Madras and IIM Indore and IIM Kazikode before joining IIM Lucknow. He was a coordinator of Center of Excellence in Manufacturing at IIM Indore during 2007 and July 2012. Dr. Venkatramana sir was instrumental in design and launch of 5-year integrated MBA program at IIM Indore during the year 2010, which was unique in IIM system